You're 60 and you haven't saved a penny for retirement. What do? Stay with me. I have a newsletter, the Your Rich Auntie newsletter. I'm going to pin a link to that newsletter in the comments section. Please sign up. There's information that I reveal in the newsletter that I don't put here on the channel. Let's talk about starting with zero in retirement at age 60. So, people sometimes ask me about their retirement situation, and basically, what they're looking for is information from a financial professional of where they stack up. And oftentimes, there's reports released from Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, or different financial institutions with how much money you should have saved at specific ages in your retirement journey. So, something that is measured but is rarely mentioned is the number of people who have no money saved for retirements. So, money that's in retirement accounts could be deceptive because money in retirement accounts, a certain segment of the American population will use retirement accounts, but there are a lot of people in America that do not have a retirement account and do not want a retirement account. So they are saving for retirement, but it's happening outside of an IRA, 401k, either because they don't have access to those accounts or they don't want the money to go into the retirement account systems. And there's a multitude of people who do not participate in IRA and 401ks. And oftentimes, very wealthy people don't like IRAs or 401ks because they put so many rules on your money. You can't access it until you're 59 and a half without a 10% penalty. You're deferring taxes into the future, and there's a wager that taxes will likely be much higher in the future. So oftentimes, very rich people and people without access do not participate in IRAs or 401ks. So if you look at the number of people who do not have any retirement savings in retirement accounts or outside of retirement accounts at age 50, it's about 20% of people, which is a very large number. So 1 out of 5 people that you are passing on the street that are over age 50 have no savings of any sort in any sort of retirement or non-retirement accounts. I do suspect, especially with inflation and the cost of living becoming astronomical in the United States, that number is actually going to increase. And we're going to see more people who are over the age of 50 who have zero saved for retirement. So, what do? In my thoughts as a financial professional, when you have $0 saved for retirement and you are over the age of 50, maybe even over the age of 60? First things first that I would do is you need to check your Social Security statement. You need to be checking your Social Security statement annually. Just to give you a quick recap, Social Security looks at your highest 35 years of earnings. Oftentimes, when you're starting out your working career, like maybe that summer job you had when you're 15, you didn't earn that much money, but you're earning a lot more money towards the end of your career. You need to look at that Social Security statement regularly, A, to make sure all the information is accurate, but B, to also make sure that your Social Security earnings estimate is steadily increasing. So once you reach 35 years of earnings, and for most people, if you started working young and worked some jobs when you were 15, 16 forward, you could probably hit 35 years of earnings by time you're anywhere from 53 to age 57. If you are aged 60, you may have gaps in your employment. Maybe you took time off from work. Maybe you caregive. Maybe you worked for a state entity that did not contribute to Social Security. So if you hit it between 53 and 57, you had a pretty consistent and pretty stable work history. But for some people, it takes much longer. But let's say you hit it at 57, you can start removing those low earning years from your Social Security calculations. For example, if I am 57 and I started working when I was 15, scooping ice cream, and I earned $500 back in, I don't know, 1991, I want that removed from my Social Security earnings. And if I'm earning, I don't know, $300,000 a year now, I want that to be my new earnings baseline for Social Security. That will be added when I am 58, and the 15-year-old ice cream scooping income will be removed, and my Social Security will subsequently go up. If you are zero in retirement savings at age 50 or 60, a lot of your retirement is going to be contingent on Social Security. Maybe even your whole retirement is going to be contingent on Social Security. That number has to be as high as possible. Ideally, you should work until age 70 or as close to 70 as humanly possible, but you want to watch that number, and you want to watch that number go up as much as possible. So check your Social Security statement annually. It should be increasing with time, and do the best that you can to work until age 70. I did check statistics. About 18% of the US population over the age of 70 is still working. So it's uncommon. It is quite uncommon. And I do realize that ageism is a thing. Once you get into your late 50s or 60s, you become targeted by companies for layoffs because you're often the most skilled and most expensive employees in the company. There's nothing we can do about that. There's just nothing we can do about ageism, unfortunately. I do see that for Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z shifting over time, simply because we don't have the demographics in the working population to sustain America in relation to the retired non-working population. We're going to see people working much longer. So right now, it's relatively rare to see someone who's 70 and working. I think give it 15, 20 years is going to be common to see people who are over the age of 70 and working. A good example of this, if you go to Far East like Japan, Korea, you regularly see very mature elderly people who are still working. It's not perfect. No one wants to do it, but it's simply the reality of what is for retirement for tens of millions of Americans, especially coming up in the near future. The next thing I would tell you, consolidate your old 401k accounts. Most people who are in this predicament of really having zero for save for retirement in their 50s or 60s, they have a series of retirement accounts from old jobs, from careers that they left long time ago that are just floating out there that they never really corralled. It's time to corral all of those old 401ks into either one 401k or into an IRA account. Usually there's not a surprising amount of money that shows up. No one finds that they have $500,000 sitting in an account that's been unattended for the past 30 years. It's usually less than 50,000, maybe even less than 20,000, but it's something and it's a start. Also, a problem with forgotten 401ks and IRAs, they do become a problem when it becomes time for required minimum distributions. So I strongly suggest while you are thinking about retirement that you start corralling those accounts and tabulating the amount of money that you have in one IRA or one 401k account. So consolidate those old accounts into one account. Next, I would ask yourself, how much can you invest? Now, in order to have a really stable retirement, if you're starting with zero at age 60, you have to invest a whole heck of a lot of money. And I will tell you this, most people just don't have it. Most people are not going to be able to put away $5,000 a month for the next 7 years to hit their retirement goal. If you can't put away $5,000 a month, and 99% of people cannot put away $5,000 a month, can you put away $1,000 a month? Can you put away $750 a month? You need to put away as much as you can, even if it hurts, even if it's an inconvenience. And I do understand that things are tight, inflation is high, it's rough out there right now, but it's going to be rougher 7 years from now when you retire with zero versus if we can get you over a six-figure balance right now. And it's going to require looking at your budget. It's going to require looking at your income. It's going to require cutting back, but you need to basically contribute as much as you can until it hurts from your paycheck to a retirement account to get this wheel moving so that you can have something when you retire 5, 7, 10 years from now. Next, I tell people who are in this situation, you're going to have to think outside the box. You're going to have to be flexible. It's really hard when I encounter people who don't have much or don't have anything saved for retirement, and they have a very rigid idea of what they want. They have to stay in the Bay Area because their entire family is in the Bay Area. They have to retire when they are 67. They cannot work part-time because they are just tired of working and they just don't want to deal with it anymore. It's really hard to plan for those people, or it's impossible to plan for people in that situation because they will not show flexibility. And the more flexibility you can show, the more open you are to different ideas, the better we can make the situation in retirement. One area of flexibility is where you're living. High cost of living areas like the Bay Area, New York City, Chicago may not be a reality for you. Can you live abroad? Can you live in a much lower cost of living area in the country? Can you be flexible around that? Can you retire in partnership? Do you have a very good friend or a sibling who's retiring at the same time you are, who's in a similar circumstance? And can you pool resources together to make that happen together? There's much good and bad of this, and there are many considerations that you want to make before agreeing to this type of arrangement. But in some situations, this can actually work out quite well and help two people retire on limited resources versus going at this alone. Can you work part time? Like I said, 18% of 70 years old, people 70 years old or older are working. You may not have to work full time, but working part time can sometimes help make up some of the deficit in retirement savings. But all of those solutions require some flexibility in thinking and flexibility in planning. And they don't work if the person refuses to exhibit any flexibility. So if you're in a position where you have zero at age 60, what can you be flexible on and how can you demonstrate that in your retirement plan to make that money go further? Finally, what I would tell a person who has zero at age for 60, your home. Um, this is always an interesting one. Sometimes people have homes here in the Bay Area, sometimes they don't. But you have to be flexible in thinking about your home. It may be time to sell or put a reverse mortgage on a home or become creative in how you utilize the home to help support your retirement dreams. A lot of people don't want to go down that pathway, especially if they have legacy concerns. But the reality is sometimes the home is the only asset that person has that is really valuable enough to sustain a retirement. And we have to look at how we can leverage that home to support that person or that individual in retirement. I would say that happens in about 20% of cases here in the Bay Area, and about 80% of cases, the person doesn't own a home. And then that's a whole other discussion. So there you have it, some ideas of what you can do if you have zero at age 60 in savings for retirement. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like and what you don't like. And if you found this information useful, please do share and subscribe. Thank you.